Welcome everybody, thank you for coming to the Planning and Highways meeting tonight, 28th September. We've got no members of the public, so I'm not going to go through the usual blurb, but you know all the drill. Can I just remind you to put your phones on silent or turn them off, please. Right, so agenda item 1, apologies for absence.
None, everybody's here.
Item 2, disclosure of interest, to deal with any disclosure by members of any disclosable pecuniary interest and interest other than pecuniary interest as defined under the Seaford Town Council Code of Conduct and Localism Act 2011 in relation to matters on the agenda. No?
No.
I don't have to do public participation, so that leads on to the planning applications. Planning applications received in the week commencing Monday the 28th of August. LW/23/0514, 56 Rookery Way, Bishopstone. Replacement single storey front extension and alterations to the front access. Who would like to lead on this application? Councillor Richard Hanneman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, front extention, reasonable. I think it's been done partly because I think it's worn out what's already there. I suppose the argument is it's sort of affecting the corner there. So is it in the right place? So I mean that's the question. Is it something a bit more extension, a bit more substantial in that particular place? So let's see what the others say. That's the question really. I'm happy with the actual design, but it's where it is.
It is. I mean, it is well below the road level.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be prominent like if it was level with the road level on this one. Okay. Councillor Hanneman.
Yeah, it said about there's going to be a new drop curve, no overshadowing of neighbouring properties from the proposed extension. It said none of the previous applications have had any issues, so I thought this was okay.
I couldn't make up my mind, sorry.
Well, obviously this is because the person has got access issues, which is why they need to do this work that they need to do on it. So that's why I thought it was okay.
Is that a proposal?
Not yet.
No. Okay. Who else? Councillor Buchanan.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yeah, I can't. I looked at it. Couldn't quite see down the road on the. It's right at the end of the road, isn't it?
Mm.
So and then it looks over that particular bit looks over open ground. So I couldn't see any reason for thinking it wasn't going to be fine.
Okay. Anybody else? I personally feel it's sort of like an infill, and it's improving what's there, and because it is sort of below street level, I feel that I would support this application. That's my feelings. So is anybody prepared to vote?
Yeah,
Okay, thank you, Councillor Richard Hanneman. Seconded by Councillor Buchanan. And can I have a show of hands of supporting this application?
Don't give me a second.
That's everyone.
I really couldn't make up my mind on it, so I just...
Indecisive.
LW 23/05556, 27 Cornfield Road, conversion of dwelling in ground floor and first floor separate units and fenestration alterations. Who would like to lead? Councillor Richard Hanneman.
Okay, thank you very much. I can see why they're doing it because they're trying to make a separate Get the right one of them. Yeah, they've got. They're trying to split the property and also have a disabled area as well for a member of the household. As long as it stays separate and it won't ever be two separate properties in that sense, like a B or an A number. I'm quite happy with what they're trying to propose.
Councillor Markham?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to pick up on something Councillor Honeyman's just said actually about separate dwellings, because it's talked about separate units. Is there something extra to go into planning if you then decide to have two separate addresses in the same?
On the same dwelling?
Yeah, in the same building, and they haven't applied for that then presumably.
No.
So as far as the property is concerned, I mean, this is about making an access, changing the garage front and making an access so that, you know, you can get up to the first floor. It's a big plot. It's a big detached house with an integral garage with lots of room for parking. It's on a kind of bend there on Cornfield Road. It's not an issue really. I think it's a nice building, but I think it looks on the plans that they're not actually disturbing it that much on the outside anyway. I think most of those alterations will be internal. And it seems like a really good idea if, you know, you're going to give someone the opportunity to stay at home and maybe, I don't know what the situation is upstairs, but, you know, you're either making, you know, supporting that really for having some extra support upstairs or whatever.
Yeah, it sounds like a living carer.
Yeah,
So
which
it
seems like
gives
a really,
their own space, doesn't it?
yeah, really good idea.
I mean, it's if you want to make it permanent or you want it to make it... right, Councillor Bourne.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, that's my only concern. Although they, in the design and access statement, it was just a kind of light walling to separate, but that doesn't take then once this goes through to then put it as a more permanent two flats into a house. And can we then put on a condition that we support the application, but with a condition that this is kind of temporary and not to be a permanent two flats in this road?
Yeah, because it may need more work, I presume, with...
But once they've got that separation, they won't need planning application to make it a solid
No.
wall
So-
from a,
Yeah,
because they've already got the permission to purpose.
yeah.
Although they're saying it's only just light boarding at the minute, they've got the permission for 2 units, then that can be a solid wall.
Yeah.
So a
Temporary.
condition that this is temporary, while obviously the carer and that, but this could be then converted back
Yeah,
when not needed.
yeah. Okay. Is that your proposal? Yes, thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor Markham. And any other councillor, Richard Hamlin?
So for you, what Councillor Bourne was trying to say is it should be, what they do, even though it's a little bit of extension, is try not to make it too substantial, the actual bit, so it can easily be converted back to a normal property. Because likewise, if it was made too substantial, 10, 20 years down the line when they maybe sell it, they could always try someone could basically do it at that stage or something, couldn't they?
Yeah.
So I'm happy with those conditions, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Clay?
Yeah, there might be building regs surrounding,
Would be.
yeah, converting it to 2 properties, permanent properties. So I think that would probably cover, come up again in the future.
Thank
That's the
you.
case.
Anybody else? No? So can I have a show of hands of in supporting the application, but with a condition that it is for temporary use? Yeah.
That's everybody, Chair, thank you.
Out of interest, what did Jeff say on this
As
one?
Jeff was with you guys. He said,
We did ask for that.
yeah, he said it's a tricky one because obviously you wouldn't want to have a permanent change presidency set precedent in the area. The relevant planning policy is DM8, which basically allows for subdivisions under certain circumstances. And his view was that this met those conditions. But to be sure, not making it permanent would help to make sure there wasn't a future risk of adverse impact on character or parking in the locality. So his view is pretty much where you landed.
Thank you.
You've trained us well.
He's trained you very well, yes, absolutely.
Right. Planning applications were received in the week commencing Monday the 4th of September. LW/23/0535, 23 Crown Hill. Alterations to the fenestration on rear and side elevation and addition of flat roof with roof lights. Lights lead on this one. Councillor Richard Hungham.
Thank you again, Chair. Yes, I mean, look, this is Crown Hill, which is obviously in part of West and part of Seaford. It's on the hill there as well, and it's a small cul-de-sac, so I think in the infill there it's not too bad. I don't think it'd be desperately noticeable by other nearby residents. So I'm quite happy to support it.
Thank you. Councillor Baldwin.
Yeah, I'll second that. It can't be seen from the frontage, and so happy to support. Second.
Thank you. Any other comments? So,
I'm happy with it.
So can I have a show of hands for supporting this application?
Is everyone, Chair? Thank you.
LW/23/0537, 49 Cookmere Road, demolition of existing rear conservatory, two-storey rear extension, alterations to fenestration and reduction in size of existing detached garage to the rear. Who'd like to read on this one? Councillor Libby Hunman.
I thought this was okay as well, because it's all at the back. Everything's at the back, and as it said in the sort of design statement, if I remember, it's similar to what other people have done in the area.
Yeah.
So therefore, and as it said, there's no adverse effects. So I thought this was okay to agree to go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Norman.
Yeah, I'll second that. They took pre-application advice, and the application advice was actually that it was absolutely fine.
Yeah.
So happy to second.
And they have reduced it slightly on the advice as well. Councillor Cannon.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just an observation. I mean, I wouldn't disagree with anything that's been said. I fully support this construction. But they're building over a drain. So I don't know who actually deals with that. Is that through the Lewis planning application? Because
Building inspector, I should think.
well, I just wanted to be clear.
Yeah.
I mean, there are Southern Water built over or near a public sewer. Because this particular drain serves other houses as well. And it's not that you can't do it, it's just you have to check it.
You can move it.
Not necessarily, but there are protocols to follow for those things. So I was just wondering if that's a proviso that, just need to be clear that this drain isn't going to, cause a problem. The sewage drain.
Yeah.
Which,
Well, I think that will be down between Lewis District Council and the developers. All we're concerned about is the actual planning application. Because basically, anybody can put in a planning application, doesn't matter where it is, but if there's any problems, then that's down to the developers or whoever owns the property. That comes sort of later with the building regs and all that sort of thing.
thank you for that.
Okay? Right, so we've got a proposal and seconders, so can I have a show of hands for supporting this application?
That's everyone, Chair. Thank you.
I didn't need him to check, sorry. I didn't need him to check, sorry.
Planning applications received week commencing Monday 11th of September, LW/23/0539, 11 Rimmer Road, rendered to all elevations of the block of flats. Councillor Martha.
Yeah, I've had a look at this property, because obviously the external part was really quite important. So in Ringmer Road, there are quite a lot of other properties that are brick built, but having this particular property, which is quite large, obviously it's got numerous flats in it, is quite weathered. The brickwork is considerably weathered, so I would imagine this to be quite an improvement. Obviously, it will have to be maintained. If you render it, then you've got to maintain it afterwards. But there are other properties in the area that have also been rendered, so it's not completely out of keeping. And looking at the condition of the bricks on the property, I think that's probably a good way. You know, it's probably good advice to do it. So I don't have a problem with it.
Is that proposal to support the?
I'm happy to propose it. Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else?
So I was happy, because it said it was the name and plan, type of rendering, so.
Yeah. Happy to second? Yeah. Anybody else? So can I have a show of hands for supporting this application?
That's everyone, Chair, thank you.
LW's Road 23 stroke 0215, 37 Jinkton Way, removal of the existing front porch, erection of single-storey front extension. I think I might remember we've had this before, as with the lack of information. Yeah, so I think we've got a little bit more information. So who would like to lead on this one? Councillor Borman?
Thank you, Chair. So yes, we looked at this at the end of July and we had one diagram and we said there's not enough information, and how did LDC validate it even?
Yeah.
And suddenly we've got lots more information, but some of the diagrams still don't give enough information, apart from one that shows that now the porch is projecting across the front line of the boundary of the house line of the bay window, by at least half a metre. And it's different because a lot of the houses are in pairs, they look very identical, they look the same, and suddenly this is going to look totally out of character to its neighbouring property, so I would like to object to it.
Okay. Councillor Martworth?
Yeah, I remembered it. I went back and had another look, and I agree with Councillor Borman. I think it is out of keeping. I can see why they want to do it. You know, they want to remake the porch. There's no reason for that. You know, not to do that. But the problem is that these houses are in pairs along the street pretty much, and they do balance off each other.
Yeah.
And it will be out of keeping if it comes forward and hits, comes in line with the bay window. So, yeah. So at the moment, it doesn't really meet the planning in the. I think I found a paragraph that says, which is at the front of it, which says why. And it's basically the front, expected to respect the building lines of the street, particularly where a strongly defined building forms, which is important, but forms an aspect of characteristics of the street, and it's clear that that's in the planning.
That particular road is of particular character,
It is,
which is
certainly
also in the neighbourhood plan. Councillor Buchanan, sir.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just an observation. The existing porch and the garage are kind of, the roofing over it is kind of continuous. But the next door garage and porch, the porch is a little bit proud of the garage. And the only reason I noticed that is because the photograph on the website for this application is not for number 37, but it shows number 35, which is actually next door. I'm not quite sure what the purpose of that photograph was.
There was 3 photographs.
And I was only looking at one.
Yeah, so the first one you pull up was 35, then if you look just down below, there was 3 photographs.
So what were the other
So
photographs?
one was both of them, and the other was just 37.
Okay, so and from that you determined that additional, I understand the neighbourhood plan, 5.5 metre or something like that, that would change the character of those two.
Okay. Right, any other questions?
I
Councillor?
was going to say, this is me going the opposite way. I thought, oh, it's only a metre, so, but obviously I've listened to yours and obviously didn't read enough, so I'm happy to go with the majority. I just thought it's only coming out metering the garden, so.
Well, we've got an objection on the table by Councillor Foreman, seconded by Councillor Markwell. So can I have a show of hands, please?
Okay, that's 6 votes.
Those against? Objecting?
Abstaining.
Abstaining?
Six
Okay,
against,
okay.
1 abstention. And Chair, can I just be clear on the grounds of the objection? What would you like to record from?
Well, still the last time, really, isn't it?
What is GBO? I can't remember what the number is because porches are on our neighbourhood plan. I didn't write it down.
Oh, sorry, number 31. Page, sorry, which page? Sorry, page 34. I think it's 34. Yeah. Front extensions.
Porches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Respecting the building line. But number 35 is slightly.
It's the porch runs in, that's it, so it says all front extensions, i.e. porches, will be expected to respect the building line to the street, particularly where there's a strong defined building line forms an important characteristic of the street. So this then juts out at least half a metre over what the building line is along that street, and it is a prominent street, so it is out of keeping. Because all the other porches are all behind the building lines.
Yeah.
So that's
so-
GB05.
So it goes against GB05.
Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
so sorry, I forgot to give you the number. Yeah, GB05. That's what I was looking for.
It goes against GB and therefore is out of keeping or
No,
character
number-
of the area.
Yeah, Chair, number 35 is slightly, it's not a total line, but it is slightly jutting out.
But it's not jutting out across
It's
their
not
bay
half
window.
metre. Yeah, it's not that
It's
much.
slightly different to their
It's slightly different,
property, but
not
it's still,
as far forward.
it's not forward across the building line.
No.
It's still behind their bay window.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, that's clear, thank you.
That's that way, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you could say it's
SW03.
04.
Oh, sorry,
And SW04 as well?
04.
No, 03.
03.
03.
SW03.
That's the architecture
Yeah, appearance.
and
Okay, cool.
appearance.
All right,
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Right. Objection. Planning applications received week commencing Monday the 18th of September, LW/23/0564, 16 Jemington Road, Drive, 2-storey side extension. Councillor Markwell.
Yeah, okay, so this is at the end of a corner, this is a corner plot. It looks like it's got lots of room, it's got a shed there at the moment, a bit of grass and whatever. But the problem with the plans is that it's the planning, which is expecting the extension to be set back slightly and to be slightly lower, isn't it? It's true with the rest of the building, so it's not following planning recommendations for the side extensions. So it's, you know, it's so that's an issue here in the main. So it's basically in line with the original building. And there is another, there are some other extensions in the road, not many actually, most of them are just keeping their garage, they've got garages and they're keeping that. There is one on the other side of the street, but that was done a long, long time ago. It was Councillor Cornwall made.
Okay. Councillor Foreman?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, as Councillor Markwell says, it's not subservient. The whole extension sits on the front boundary. The roof is the same height as the roof, so it's not subservient. The design guidelines keep mentioning the property across the road, but that was 2012 that application was in. But if you look at the neighbouring application, it was set back just over 3/4 of a metre as well. So they keep referring to it, but actually they're not doing what this neighbouring property is.
Yeah.
Our design guidelines say, especially 2-storey extensions need to be subservient. They need to be set back a metre. We have got away with the neighbouring property, which was 80 centimetres. I could have kind of got that, but they haven't even tried to do that. The roof line is the same. It's not subservient. That should also be lower. And also it says it has to be at least 1 metre from the boundary. And looking at the plans, I would, because they're not very good because there's no measurements, I would question that it is 1 metre from the boundary line, and 2-storey extensions have to be at least 1 metre. And the neighbouring property has got a good 1.5 metres from their boundary, because they've got a larger side to when they did their extension than this property has. So I would object to it for it's not subservient, it's out of keeping. The roof line also is at a different angle, whereas the neighbouring property is the same as their property. So they keep referring to the neighbouring property, but it's a different style property. And GB03 with the side extensions, and it goes against our design guidelines.
Okay. Is that find a seconder? Councillor Martin, would you like to second?
I would like
Councillor
to
Bourne?
second that, definitely. I think it's quite clear from the planning guidance that it just needs to.
Any other questions, or Councillor Richard Hannon?
Yeah, just a couple of comments. Yeah, I agree with what Councillor Foreman said, in the sense, yeah, you have to have that meter all the way around it, even if it's on that sort of bend as such. But it's not a special area in that sense, in the sense of where it is. So there's scope for something there, but I think what the resident or the developers have proposed is a little bit too much the other way.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it'll come back at some stage and we'll have another look.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? So, can I have a show of hands that we object to this application on the very points that Councillor Foreman has said?
Have you got them?
Not
Not
subservient.
subservient, out of keeping and against the design guidelines
Yeah.
of GBO3 and GBO4.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, so can I have a show of hands, please?
That's everyone, Chair.
Thank you. Tree Works, TW/23/0079/TPO, the Coach House, Saxon Lane. I won't read all that out, but and Councillor Buchanan?
Thank you, Chair. I think it's just the standard time of the year pruning for these trees in that area.
Yeah.
No objection to that. Support.
Thank you. Councillor Foreman?
I'd like to support it, but can we also put in our support the great information and photographs that was provided?
Yes.
Because if we can keep pushing that, we might get it for every application.
Yeah.
The only thing was they said it's been done before, and I had to then hunt back, and it was done in 2018, the last time that they were pruned to that. That was the only bit of information that was missing from their application, but they had everything we've always asked for.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So if you're happy to add that, I will second it.
Yeah.
If you're happy, I'm happy.
Okay, so can I have a show of hands of supporting this application?
Everyone, Chair.
Thank you. And that brings us on to agenda number 5, and there's update report to notify the committee of decisions taken by Lewes District Council on applications previously considered by the committee, and there's only a couple, and we're all in agreement. Unless there's any comments.
There's a bit of a backlog in the chair, because we've only got 2 there.
Yeah,
Must be, isn't it?
yeah, so unless
It's been the summer, they're all on holiday.
yeah. So unless there's any questions, we note the report.
Noted.
Noted? Thank you. And that concludes the meeting at 7:31.
Well done.
Well done.